I'm talking about one of the most influential Bollywood personality of modern Bollywood era. If at all there is something that's called Bollywoodish, that's been defined by this personality. What he has done to his father's production company is an incredible journey. He took a production company which was near bankrupt and made it to be one of the greatest production company that the nation has ever seen and one of the most influential production company in India. He is being the central figure for controversies, be it his sexual orientation, be it his party life, or be it his nepotism kickstart. But he has been bold in answering every single controversy that comes his way. He's been very open, he's been very flamboyant, and more so, he's incredibly talented who dictates the market. And this podcast is exploring his directorial aspect alone. And I'm picking up three of his films and trying to find reasons why these films worked for me. And I'm talking about none other than Karan Johar. Hey guys, this is Gautam here, and welcome to my channel, Chocolate Coffee Conversations. Now, Karan Johar is multifaceted. He's a producer, screenwriter, television presenter, promoter. He's a big social media influencer, very active in social media and also through media too. Anybody who has consumed Bollywood would be very familiar with Karan Johar's name. And if at all there is a style that's referred as Bollywood style, and I'm doing air quotes through my finger, if you could imagine, if anybody is saying that this is Bollywoodish or this is a Bollywood style, most likely that was introduced or adopted by Karan Johar in one or the other way. Now, for me personally, I really love Karan Johar as a producer. What he has done to Dharma Productions, from where it was when he picked up and what it is now, is an incredible journey. I would boldly say that every third film that's releasing in Bollywood has to do one or the other way with Dharma Productions. It's that influential. There is two production houses in Bollywood which are considered to be the most influential production house. The first one is Yash Raj Films by Aditya Chopra, the son of Yash Chopra, and the second one is Dharma Productions, which is run by Karan Johar, son of Yash Johar. The coincidence of Yash as the name for both the fathers, right? That's pretty interesting. But yeah, him as a producer and the interviews that he gives as a producer is a learning material for me. I'm so hungry and in consumption of any format of interview that he has given as a producer talking about the industry, because he really understands Bollywood. He really understands the Indian filmmaking landscape or Indian film landscape, and the way he gives the number, the way he conveys how the market conditions are and how thorough he is in terms of the market puts him or makes him as one of the gurus for me to try to understand how production works in India or in Indian cinema. But this episode is solely dedicated to him as a director. We'll definitely do another episode of him as a producer, which will be very fascinating for myself too, in order to gather information to make the content. But yeah, for the purpose of this episode is exploring Karan Johar's directorial hat. Now, I consider him as one of the most influential Bollywood modern era director for sure. But why is the question? And I have few points that I believe made him as what he is now and what I was trying to define. So the first thing is he takes the melodrama and he blends it with Western elements, with style, with music, with a lot of masala, and presents to the audience, to the masses of tier 2, tier 3 cities. Now, when I'm specifically referring to tier 2, tier 3 cities, what I'm trying to say is the tier 1, like the whole metropolitan angle, the metropolitan population has lots of things to consume. They can also consume Karan Johar's movie. It's still fun, it's still great, but not necessarily only Karan Johar film, but he really focuses on the masses, right? Who are coming from tier 2, tier 3 cities, who actually love how the old school Bollywood existed, right? It has songs, dance, drama, extravaganza, dialogues, great lines, actors with great integrity, love stories, clean plot. These are some of the key aspects of the mass audiences who are trying to consume Bollywood cinema. And Karan Johar caters them exactly how it is. In fact, Karan Johar's personality itself is like that. He always refers to himself being grown in South Bombay, and he has watched films of Yash Chopra, Raj Kapoor, and they are his mentors. He's greatly influenced by the Bollywood dance, music, the drama aspect of how Bollywood existed. But what Karan made out of that is very interesting. What he did is he took those elements and he blended it with lots of Western styles, and he catered that to the masses, which just didn't reach to the masses in India. It actually got caught on fire among the Indian diaspora around the globe, right? One of the biggest market for Karan Johar are the NRI market. His films run incredibly great overseas. In fact, I think he was the first director to explore or exploit, let's put it like that, exploit the international market for Bollywood and brought in a lot of success and fame in and across the globe, especially in US and UK, and try to bring some of the stars, some of the greatest stars that we have to make them global, to take them globally. So those are some of his interesting facets. And that is why I consider him as a very influential Bollywood director, right? And now, as a ritual of this episode, I would pick three of my favorite films of any director that I'm talking about, and I'm going to explore those films. I'm going to try to break down to understand why those films worked for me or why those films are great in general. And through that process, we can discover the journey or the insights of the director that I'm talking about. To follow the ritual, I'm going to pick up three films. I'm going to pick three films of Karan Johar and talk about them. Now, there is something interesting. When I was trying to list down these three films, I was trying to find, the reasons why these films worked for me. And I found something interesting, something common, and something progressive in that list. So these three films are in the order of how they released, right? And each film gets bigger and bigger in terms of the subject matter that Karan Johar has picked up, right? The complexity of the storytelling, the complexity of the characters, the whole ideology of the story gets bigger and bigger as it progresses, which was really interesting for me. Now, I'll begin with the first film that I want to talk about, and it is his debut film, Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, one of the generation defining film for us, the kids who grew up in 90s and 2000s. Kuch Kuch Hota Hai was a big deal. Just to own a cassette of the songs, write down the songs in my personal diary, get a poster of that movie, or use every single line that's possible in that movie with our friends, with our family, was one of the most fascinating thing for any kid who was growing up at that time. Now, leaving my nostalgia aside, I'm trying to understand why did Kuch Kuch Hota Hai work for me, right? And as I said, this plot gets progressive as I'm going to discuss the next two films as well. So first, the plot itself is it's a couple. It's actually love triangle, right? It's a love story. So two people getting involved, actually three people getting involved in this sense because it's like love triangle. The characters are very straightforward. They have shades, but they're not like 360-degree different kind of shades. They are very good people, good from heart, very likable people. They are the typical heroes and heroines that you meet. And there's a love triangle that goes around where you actually leech for a couple to get together to begin with, but they don't get together. There's another person gets together, like they both get together, and then the third person comes in. Well, you know what, it's too difficult for me when I say that person, this person. Let's put names, right? And first, actually, even before I dive deeper into these three movies, what I would say is Karan Johar has done some of the incredible films with King Khan, Shah Rukh Khan. And likewise, Shah Rukh Khan, some of the greatest films are either directed by Karan Johar or produced by Karan Johar. So they really have a great bonding. It's a mutual benefit that they have for each other in terms of how they make films or what kind of films they make. So Kuch Kuch Hota Hai obviously starred by Shah Rukh Khan, and there is Kajol, and then there is Rani Mukherjee, right? Now, the love triangle is between these three. Actually, the audience likability or the want of the audience is Shah Rukh Khan getting together with Kajol. And there is a sheer reason of why that is, and I'll explain you shortly. But yeah, so initially these two characters need to get together is what the audience would love to watch. But Rani Mukherjee comes in, she's perfect, she's great. So Rani Mukherjee and Shah Rukh Khan get together. But then there are things that happens where Rani Mukherjee lives no longer. Now Shah Rukh Khan is widowed, but now he's going out for Kajol. And then there are reasons that playing around that and how he goes back and woos her and they both get together is the rest of the story. And now, coming back to the point, why would the audience want Shah Rukh Khan and Kajol to get together? Is actually a cultural reference. When this film was released, right, during this time, Kajol and Shah Rukh Khan were the pair of Bollywood, right? It started with Bazigar, where they were paired and it was a incredible chemistry, but Bazigar didn't have a fine ending, obviously, because Shah Rukh Khan's character is an anti-hero. It's not really a protagonist. Well, he is a protagonist, but he's not like the typical hero that we get in Bollywood. But now the next film, another generational defining film called DDLJ, Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, in which Shah Rukh Khan and Kajol, acts together and they became the symbol of love. They are the pair of Bollywood. They are the couple of Bollywood. So audience already are tuned in that Shah Rukh Khan and Kajol are going to get together. But here's the twist where Karan Johar is like, no, I'm not going to give you that. I'm going to hold that. They will not be getting together now. They might be getting together eventually because obviously it's going to be a positive ending. It's not an era where negative endings usually happen that easily. But how are they going to get together, right? This is the interesting aspect of the film. And he blends in melodrama and comedy in one of the greatest fashion, right? He makes it light, he makes it watchable, he makes it likable, and these are some of the facets that he uses to enhance the screenplay to make Kuch Kuch Hota Hai what it is now, right? So these are some of the important aspects that I loved about Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. Now, moving on to the next one, my second favorite, and I got a huge respect when I watched this film for him, of his craft and how his understanding of relationship is through this film. Although I'm skipping one of the greatest film of Bollywood again, I'm skipping the film Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum because there is another film that I like even more than that, and that film is Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna. It is a story between it happens between families, right? So it's getting slightly bigger, as I was mentioning. So initially it was between three people, just love angle. Now it's getting slightly bigger where a family is involved. So the whole conflict is between family, right? And then he throws in dysfunctional family into it. He throws in marital infidelity into it, and he throws in some intense characters into it, right? And he throws in bunch of music into that. And this whole thing happens not in India, but it's actually directly happening abroad in New York. And there's this whole NRI angle into it. So he makes the story with lots of substance, and he brings in lots of different character shades and moral questions that needs to be asked through that film, yet keeping it very clean. Now, keeping it clean is Karan Johar's one of the biggest assets. Now, when I'm saying keeping it clean, I'm not saying not to go bold, but every director has his or her own characteristics, and Karan Johar's characteristics is he brings in some of the very strong stories, keeping it clean, keeping it watchable with the entire family, right? So now, Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna, if done a notch different, could have gone completely overboard, could have been rejected by the masses, could have been a disaster in the box office, could have been a disaster in critical, standpoint too. But he does it so right. He does it with such a perfect blend that this movie goes on to be one of the highest all-time grosser in NRI market when it was released during that year. And it had a great review by all the critiques, right? Where they see the film, they see the character development, they see how a dysfunctional family doesn't have to come. Well, let's put it like that. A dysfunctional family doesn't have to occur due to a bad person, due to a great sort of a shocker, right? Oh, this guy is like an abuser. There is physical abuse, or there is drug abuse, or there is some sort of a psychopathic nature. There's nothing like that. It's just a person who's frustrated because of his career has been sabotaged, an athlete who is frustrated, and a person who's not really in love with the husband but gets married just because the husband is a childhood friend and she's entitled, or she owes in debt to the family and she's getting married. These are not the reasons for a marriage to occur, right? A marriage can break away from these reasons. And what I love is these reasons are so simple and so real that it could occur in anybody's life, right? A drug abuse, or a psychopathic behavior by a partner is not very common, but the reasons that can make a family dysfunctional uh, are one of the common reasons, one of the simpler reasons in our life. And Karan Johar actually picks up those reasons and blends it with these characters and try to make them work for us, right? Because we root for these characters. The moment we don't root for the protagonist, for Rani Mukherjee and Shah Rukh Khan, the story is done there, right? So we really root for these two characters, and when they perform the infidelity, it's done in such a poetic manner that you are not away from the character. You're still rooting for them. You're still trying to find an answer with them, right? And what he did with the older characters, with Amitabh Bachchan character especially, is very incredible, right? That's one of the interesting character that he has written, or he has portrayed, Karan Johar has portrayed in his films, is what I feel. So that's my second pick. That's Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna, which is, by far one of the very complex yet grand way of addressing some of the marital issues that can occur in anybody's life. And the third pick of mine would be my personal favorite that tops my chart of Karan Johar's listing, and a very crucial film in his career, a very important film for Bollywood or for world cinema itself. And the movie name is My Name is Khan. Khan from the Epiglottis. No, Khan from the Epiglottis is not the title of the movie, but that's the famous dialogue. But anyways, My Name is Khan. That is my personal favorite, and a huge respect to Karan Johar for making such a film, executing such a film, which shows how much he understands politics, right? Because as I said, there's a progression. So the first movie, Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, is between couple, right? It's couple love story, very straight. And then Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna comes in, where a family is thrown in. It's not that straight. There are shades. And now with My Name is Khan, this is a socio-political story where it's not about a person or a family. It's about an entire nation. But what he interestingly does is he throws in a very naive human, a person who is suffering with Asperger's syndrome, who is a good hearted person, into the socio-political angle, and make him go through certain things. And as an to audience, he conveys it that how naivety, how humanity can resolve it. Because this whole My Name is Khan is, to say it in a nutshell, this talks about racial prejudice that happened after 9/11 in USA between Muslims and non-Muslims, and what happens to the lead character played by, again, phenomenally played by Shah Rukh Khan as Rizwan Khan. What happens to his family, and what are the things that he needs to go through, and how big of a personal loss that occurs to him is the whole context of the film. But what he does it what Karan Johar does is he doesn't go and find solution in some other country, or he doesn't go preachy in terms of, the USA needs to do this or that, because that will become tricky now, right? But he actually tries to find the answer using humanity within that country, which makes it even more brilliant, because he will, and I'm not going to disclose a lot if somebody's not watching that movie, even though this is not going to be a spoiler alert or anything. But anyways, I want to create the curiosity if somebody hasn't watched the movie yet, to go and watch My Name is Khan, because that is by far one of the best directed film of Karan Johar, and one of the best films in Bollywood itself, right? Where he brings in characters within the country, and he brings in the qualities that needs to be developed, and he gives a solution too in the end, like what would make this sort of a racial prejudice or this sort of a racial tension to come down or to go away, right? So just by doing it, I feel that he became one of the very crucially sociologically important director. Although he didn't really continue that angle further, which is up to the filmmaker. That's a different story. But I really loved that angle, right? He was so responsible in making a content like that. So these are my three favorite picks of Karan Johar. Please let me know if I missed anything or if I'm going. Well, you know what? If I have to talk about every single film that Karan did, all the films are equally good. I do agree, but these three are my top picks. But if at all an audience has another perspective towards it, towards these three picks, or there can be a better film than what I picked, do let me know in the comment. I would love to hear that because that is what makes this whole conversation interesting. I hope I was able to do a little bit justice and try to understand his films and try to give perspective about Karan Johar. I would love to talk more about Karan Johar's other facets, as I mentioned, but that'll be done in a different episode for sure. So, this is all about Karan Johar and this episode. Let's discover knowledge through conversation, is what I would like to say. And also, let's join our hands together and make this world a better place. Until I see you next time with another new podcast, this is Gautam signing off saying Magalchi.